I'm not at all connected with the fishing job as such, but I'm connected with this vibrant group, so-called fishing Catholics, because these people are so much, let us say, they are attached to each other. There is such a communion in the fishing community, because they have this mentality. If a vehicle breaks down in the road, they can ask the help of another vehicle to push that vehicle. But if something happens in the middle of the sea, they have nobody. They have only another fisherman has to come and help them. So that sort of connection they have among themselves. So they don't want to lose anybody in their own community. And that's why all these people are so much loving, caring for one another and understanding each other, and such sort of good heart. Each of them has such a good heart. In fact, I wanted to be a priest. Not that it was just by chance that I entered to seminary. It was my will, and I wanted to be. Somebody may laugh at me when they hear this story, because my father and mother, they are very much closer to the church, and they are very much attached to the church functions. And my mom used to bring the torn vestments of priests and stitch them in my own house. Now and then I used to wear them. I used to wear these priest vestments. I used to say, "The Lord be with you and also with you." Like that, I used to celebrate Mass at home, just acting out Mass, but wearing the real vestments which my mother had brought from churches just to stitch. And I think that sort of interest I got since my childhood. And after that, but I did not know how to enter into a seminary, how to go about. There was no clue at all. One day what happened? Father Bernard Fernando, my vocation promoter, and I am happy to have him. Even now we are staying together in the same house. And he came to my school, and one fine day he was just preaching about Don Bosco. But that day, as usual, I went to the school late, because I am a late going fellow to the school. As usual, I went very late. I was caught just before the gate, outside of the school. And the vice principal came out, and he said, "You fellows are coming every day late. So it is your punishment to pour water to all these flower pots outside." Then we accepted willingly, because it is a punishment for coming late to the school. But unfortunately, or fortunately, let us say, there was no water in the tank, because there was a season of drought, and we did not have water in the school water tank. So now this vice principal had nothing to do with us, with these culprits. He said, "Hey, there is one priest has come. He has come to preach about something, some saint, so-called Don Bosco. You go and listen to him, and second period you can go to your class." I said, "Okay, fine, then let's go." And I went to this particular classroom where Father Bernard was preaching. We listened to his story. It was so interesting. It was about Don Bosco. And at the end of the story, he gave an open invitation saying that those who would like to be like Don Bosco and serve youth of Sri Lanka, please join us and give me your addresses and your name and the contact numbers, like that. So I was so interested of the same, because it was my dream since my childhood, and I said in the beginning I wanted to be a priest. So I immediately rushed to him and gave my name. My family was with me, and they wished me all the best for my going ahead as a seminarian towards my priesthood. And one fine day, that only gave me a big challenge. One fine day, my father asked me, "So, you really want to be a priest?" Then he said, it is not difficult to be a priest. It's not difficult. But he looked into my eyes and said, it is very difficult to remain as a good priest. Very difficult to be a good priest and to remain as a good priest. He gave me that challenge, and I am still faithful to what the challenge that he gave me. Also, that challenge is still echoing in my mind. And that was a good, encouraging word and challenging word which my father gave and which kept me going ahead towards the priesthood. I learned a lot from my family, because my family is so much interested of religion. It was not just a customary religion they followed. Rather, I saw a lot of religiosity in my own family. Starting from the sign of the cross, when we were born, our parents gave us religion, a good religion. In fact, we were witnesses for risen Christ from our childhood, because our parents, they were really living the religion. They were living the Christianity. And a lot of teachings that we used to learn from our parish priests and teachers, they gave us exactly what they really meant from their own lifestyle. We saw a lot of good things in their own life. Rather, more than before, I learned about Paschal mystery and how all this theological background behind Easter. I learned these kind of simple things from my own family, from my parents, from my mother and father. And I remember how my elder brother and younger brother, how they acted out some dramas which are connected with this Passover, feast of Passover, and also the life of Jesus Christ, and even taking the characters in Vasapu. Vasapu means life stories of different saints, and we are stage drama people, the actors. And so I learned a lot by taking part in all these dramas, also learning catechism in my own home. And more than learning theology and philosophy in such institutionalized places, I learned these kind of simple teachings from my family itself. And I think that is the basic which I had to celebrate all these services. If I recall back my memories as a child, I remember when I was serving at the altar as an altar server in my parish, I served the Mass for which my father also sat down as a disciple. That was on a Maundy Thursday, and he was one of the disciples. He was sitting down and I was serving at the Mass. I remember that time the parish priest was Father Hyacinth Pereira, and he was a parish priest over there at Kanana. And my father also was sitting among the disciples, and he washed his feet, and I was just helping him as an altar server. That was my memory as a child. Right now we are towards the western coastal area of Sri Lanka, and let us say these people are so mad after religion. Why I say mad? Because they have nothing without a religion. They have nothing without Christ. They have Christ in everything, and all that they have is in Christ. Everything is in Christ. Because all these are fishermen, mainly. You know about St. Peter. And he was a fisherman. and most of his disciples are fishermen. So naturally all these fishermen, they tend to be Catholics. And before they push their boat into the sea, they go for the Mass and they pray in the beach itself, and then only they push the boat into the sea. And even in the sea itself, they are praying so much to God, who gave St. Peter a good catch of fish. And also after coming back, the first fish that they caught, they used to keep it spared separately so that they can give that good fish to the parish priest or to the church or to a good welfare society or somebody like that, thinking about God. And that sort of religiosity they have, that mentality they have. Also, I would say the children that are newly born and also children who are going to the school daily, all the children are very much trained to be attached to the church. And they have such an attachment to the church or to the religion. They are so good Catholics, I would say. And even if you see all these their religious functions, the church is full. The church is packed in all these areas, from Colombo to Manna, even beyond that towards Jaffna. All these Catholic churches are full because the coastal area people are very much religious and very much Catholics. Friday it was a good experience because we had nearly 5 kilometers long way of the cross along the road, and all these together with me there were 4 other priests also. All these 4 priests, we preached about the simple living of our day-to-day living, carrying our daily crosses. What are the challenges that we face in our daily living? And also we shared our experience that we had when we meet some youngsters who are addicted for drugs, alcohol, and even cigarette smoking, or even all the other addictions like pornography and so many things. We spoke practical aspect of getting rid of all these things. So people are so interested of listening about all these things because some of their own children are addicted.
I was very apprehensive. What can I do and how can I participate in the Easter services? Because of my present stage of health. At present I am a chronic kidney patient. My kidneys are working only for 7%. And they are looking at the possibilities of transplanting. In the beginning, I was doing and working as a priest, a young priest, doing all kinds of everything. Even some were ashamed that I do certain things being a priest. For me, there was no shame. For me, there was no shame to do anything. Whatever I did with goodwill, but that touch with Jesus was little lacking. The prayer life was which is lacking. Therefore, his life is a challenge to us. He doesn't consider us as valid coins. We are as useless coins, as we are from a dustbin. And therefore, what shall we do? Let us test him. Let us trap him and see whether God, whom he says is Father, comes to rescue him. we did not test God's love. Jesus did not succumb to the 3 temptations that the devil posed on him when he was fasting in the desert. But I think another priest friend who told me, and I told him, now, you see, we have been preaching, we have been doing this, we are conducting healing services and all that. Then we can ask, why Lord? Why me? Why me? You know, that priest told me, yes, I found the answer. I have given you this not because I don't find anybody else. You are a priest. You suffer with me. You share with me. You carry the cross with me. And this is the thought that entertained me, give me courage and strength to go after Jesus. He could have also saved us without undergoing any suffering. But he underwent extreme suffering. It was very repugnant to look at him. People are so feeling bad about, they are unable to do anything to Jesus. But I think being priest, we share his glorious resurrection, which came under the shadow of the cross. Therefore, there is no difficulty in accepting the present situation, even in good times and bad times. We are for Jesus, and Jesus is with us.
There are main parishes who conduct all these religious activities. There are main places. And all these places, they are using a particular statue which they venerate so much. That means together with the veneration of the cross, they also venerate this statue so much because they call it a miraculous statue. They used this particular statue because this statue was made by the collection of the parishioners themselves. Also, during this particular season, all the families are consecrated, all the families are blessed by this statue during this season. And the same statue they are also using for the crucifixion on Good Friday. Also, they are having the sort of passion play. That means acting out all the 7 statements and preaching all the 7 statements. So during the Way of the Cross, let us say each station we are spending nearly 10-15 minutes and we are preaching each station. And people are not at all tired because they are taking a vow before they take part in the Way of the Cross. Suppose I am a drug addict, I take a vow, my Lord, help me to come out from this addiction. So that sort of vow they take before they take part in the Way of the Cross. And after that, as they go about towards the last station, they try to give this cross to Christ. They try to come out from this addiction along the Way of the Cross. Because of the preachings and because of the good thoughts that they are cultivating in their mind, they are trying to come out from these addictions. And this is the way how the people are coming in line with the Way of the Cross. And apart from that, I would say this is one of the biggest crowd that I have ever seen.
Grande
In fact, this is for the first time I am preaching in this area, in this locality. Also, I used certain facts and truths when I preached to the people. And when some youngsters came and spoke to me about the vows that they are taking during these days, I also told them about the mystery behind spending 40 days in Lent. That was, symbolically, we are spending 40 weeks in our mother's womb as a child. So after 40 weeks, the mother is delivering the new baby. So similarly, after 40 days, we are given a new birth. So these 40 days are not simply spending without eating or without drinking or just doing some modifications. This is a training for us to begin a new life. I understood when these youngsters came and said, "Father, I like to come out from this problem and I am taking a vow, please help me." That means, please help me, that particular sentence has got so many wishes. And also he has got a lot of inabilities within him. Jesus said to admit your inabilities, admit your failures, admit your difficulties, and I can be your strength. As St. Paul says, where there is sin, there is also grace. When we accept our sinfulness, God is filling us with His grace. And these people, these youngsters, are slowly admitting their inabilities, admitting their sinfulness, admitting that they are addicted. Now I am sure that God is filling them with His grace. And this is the Easter. And this is the salvation that these youngsters are facing. I got a few phone calls also. Some phone calls are really threatening me, and I do not know who really wanted to talk to me. And one fellow said, "Father, you spoke about drunkenness, drinking. See, if I am really giving my heart and soul to my family, if I'm drinking a bit in the evening, it's not harmful. What I said about drinking, at least this fellow to call me back, he has understood that. At least he has got some sort of willingness to come out from his problem. I'm not taking this phone call as a challenge, but I thank God for this call, because at least God has touched the heart of this man. And seeing the crowd of the people who had come for confession also, we can see God has really touched the heart of all these people to come out from their daily difficulties, or rather to accept their own failures and sinfulness, so that they are experiencing the risen blessings of Christ. Sunday we also said that Jesus is risen, but He is risen to our own families. He is just not a God who is just leaving us and rising away from His people, but He is rising into the people where His people are living. So Jesus is risen into our hearts, into our families. So let us possess Him and let us welcome Him into our families. This is a good message that we could communicate to the people during last days, and we built it slowly and gradually. After celebrating the Easter Mass, a lot of people came and expressed their happiness for all the experiences that they had last few days.
Alleluia.